Americans need to wake up and notice how whenever there's a protest movement in this country, the powers that be come together to characterize the protests as violent. Whether it's Americans uniting against our systemic police brutality, or our students at universities across our nation demanding that their schools stop using their tuition money to fund an ongoing genocide, and now in LA, where our brave American brothers and sisters are taking a stand against ICE, the American Gestapo, from blackbagging their friends, families, and neighbors. They use the same exact playbook every single time because it works. And here's why. First of all, characterizing a protest movement as violent shifts the conversation from being about what those protesters want to change to now they're defending themselves from false accusations of violence. Number two, it's easy to characterize something as violent. You could take any incident and blow it up massively, just like we saw for the BLM protests, where I think it was 97% of all demonstrations during that time period were nonviolent completely. But Americans have been propagandized to believe that a lot, any number of the demonstrations during that time were extremely violent, like rioting, looting in the streets, which is just not true whatsoever. Our government, the justification to go in and crack down on these movements, to suppress them, often with a lot of violence. There are so many people, especially on the right in this country, who are so quick, so at the ready to jump on false narratives about these protest movements because they disagree with them. They don't actually care that they're being fed a false narrative by the powers that be to serve their political goals. They just want to have an object of their anger. And any amount of conversation or argument you have with these type of people will get nowhere at all, ever, because they're not ever going to change their minds. What a lot of Americans have yet to wake up to is that this characterization of violence on our protest movements is one big lie meant to protect the status quo, to keep it from changing. Because the reason they're doing all this, the reason they are so against these protests is because they are threatened. Their interests are threatened by changing the status quo. They won't get as much power. They won't get as much money. And when our students call for divestment or a reform of the police or stopping ICE from grabbing our friends and families out of their homes at night, they are scared. What the Trump regime is doing to this country is disgusting. I cannot stand for it. Nobody should stand for it. We must unite in solidarity because all of our struggles are interlinked. You think this ICE deportation machinery is just related to immigration? No, they are using it against student activists at college campuses and shipping them off overseas to get them out of this country, to stop them from asking for divestment and making change in this country. Mahmoud Khalil, he's a big one. You guys know his name. The LAPD, who's using police brutality on the people of LA right now. I saw a video of someone shooting a journalist on video. They aimed their gun at this journalist and shot. They were trained by the IDF. The LAPD spends a ton of money to go and train with the IDF and learn their tactics. This is all interlinked. I can't believe I saw Bernie Sanders the other day feeding right into this narrative, telling people off not to be violent, invoking MLK's name in this tweet. Bernie Sanders, of all people, should know that this is one big lie. This characterization of violence was used against him in 1963 when he was arrested and charged for taking part in a protest as part of the Civil Rights Movement. He invoked MLK's name, who, let's not forget, was killed by our government. With sparked protests all over the nation. The Trump regime is using ICE as their masked and militarized private army to crack down on our own citizens, to throw whomever they want in jail, whether that be critics of the United States, the Trump regime, Israel. These are super scary times for this country, and we must stand arm in arm with each other, or else we will not make it through. I hope some people woke up to this video, but thank you guys for watching. You can find my other pages in my bio. Thank you, and free Palestine, baby.